Hey everyone, Logan here from One Plus Armor with Andrew, and today we're going to be looking at the new Nagash stuff that's come out. So today is Saturday when you're seeing this, so we're going to go ahead and do an unboxing. What do you want to start with here, Andrew?
Alright, so we can start with the books, I guess.
Books, alright. You've got the knife. Slide this over. Oh, I get to do this.
You get to do it.
Get this off the table. Yeah, my stuff to destroy. There we go. And of course I'll just run into the camera as well while I'm at it. So, books weigh a friggin' ton. There's about, I think, 400 pages of stuff here, give or take. We've got, the back piece of thing here. Suppose if you're one of those people like I was in high school, you can hang this up in your room, pretend to be all cool. And then we've got the books. They're in a slip cover here. You should be able to see. Actually, I'm just going to switch sides here with you.
Sure.
We're going to keep an eye on the camera. So, we got two books in this. There's book one, which is all of the lore and stories and everything that's going on, which from what I've heard from Andrew, who's read a bit of it, it's quite ridiculous at this point. Everything's just going apeshit.
Yeah, it's basically the Warhammer world, all the Grimdark turned up to 11. Everyone's sort of at that 2 minutes to midnight step now. Everything's looking pretty bleak, but there is little glimmers of hope for each race, so it'll be a neat campaign.
Excellent. And in the second book here is all of the rules and everything for running the campaign, for Nagash, his lieutenants, all the character updates, pretty much everything you need to actually run the Undead Legions and the campaigns around it.
Yep.
So just looking at the outside of this, it's gorgeous art. I mean, I don't even know what this style is called, but I absolutely love it. Sort of, as it's more ink than anything else.
Yeah.
Like Street Fighter 4 had the same kind of thing. Looks absolutely great. So let's take a look at the actual books here.
They look fancy on the shelf, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. So, start with book one here. So same cover as the outside. So this is the lore book. Open right up to a Hell Pit Abomination. Beautiful. So we won't spoil anything in here, but we'll just page through it a little bit.
So yeah, basically there's an overview. The first part is an overview of every army and what they're doing as the end times are coming, and then later on it gets into the specifics of each campaign and each fight, and sort of backgrounds of what all the characters and good pictures of the models and stuff and epic battles.
Yeah, it looks like lots of new art as well. I mean, a lot of books recently we've seen stuff that's been reused over and over again from either Visions or the old heavy metal displays.
Yeah, there's a ton of new in this. Pulled out all the stops for sure.
It's great to see some life back into fantasy.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a dry spell on the release. It's all 40K.
Yeah, so this is not a small book at all.
Yeah,
it even goes over the different armies that.
Yeah, so there'll be specific. So like on this page, it's specific units in those armies and sort of their backstories and what they're known for.
Okay. We got. So all the storyline of, I guess, Nagash going down to Khemri again.
Amazing picture.
Oh my
Nagash
goodness.
fighting Cetra.
That's gorgeous.
Just shows you how big he actually is.
Yeah, and if you look at the models, that's almost to scale.
Yeah, it's about right.
So we'll take a look at that in a minute. So then on to book two here. This is the actual rules. So we got a nice picture of, wow.
Nagash.
My brain's not working. Yeah, Nagash here. So you can see how big he is here. I mean, it's absolutely huge. So these guys are the new Morgeists, which are enormous. And from what I saw on the GW store at least, this is pretty much actual size compared to those zombies.
Yeah, he's
about a foot tall.
Yeah, like those new 40K Night Titans, he's about that size.
So in here, a bunch of stuff about narrative scenarios, which I'm kind of happy to see them specifically start out with that, noting that this is... Oh, perfect. Noting that it's all narrative stuff. New Warhammer rules.
Yeah, so there's different changes on how rules work, the way that the spells go. different things like that, just tweaks to the rule set.
Okay, new terrain and stuff you can use.
Yeah. So yeah, stuff that already exists.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Haunted Forest and Garden of More kit, how those work, and just cool new ways to play the game.
And then we've got the Lore of Undeath. So this is something which is already causing a bit of a stir, both in our community here and from what we've been seeing online. Basically, every one of the spells that summon stuff works the same way as Raise Dead does from the current Vampire Counts book, meaning that it comes into play, except it doesn't give any victory points. And if you run it with Nagash, it gets kind of ridiculous because he gets triple points back. Oh, and wouldn't you know, we actually have some of the cards. I'm amazed you managed to get these.
There's a couple at the store still.
Ooh, I know what I'm doing Sunday.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, going through, he's able to, anybody at this point now is able to summon a bunch of different things. So we've got infantry. What do we have in this one? So there's a couple different things here. I know we'll go through it in depth once we get the cards out. But we've got infantry, there's cavalry, monsters. I think that's it, right?
There's also characters, so you can summon your own vampires. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
One of the cool things about this lore, though, is it's not just specific for the Tomb Kings or vampire counts. Any sorcerer wizard in the game can take the Lore of Undeath and summon undead for their army.
Now, are there any, because I think you've done a bit more reading on this than I have so far, are there any restrictions on that? Like in 40k, if you're not demons, summoning demons, you perils or miscast a bit more.
I mean, it doesn't appear from it. Like, I didn't actually go into the rules too much. I've been sort of engrossing myself in the fluff, but from what I've read of the spells, it doesn't affect that army in any way, any worse than normal perils or miscast do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some new armies and units. So this is where we get into the undead legions.
Yeah, so that's a combination of the Tomb Kings and Vampire Counts sort of into one ultimate list.
Okay, and they take on their own army special rules here.
Right, so...
It says these are not used.
They don't use like the Kemrian Undead special rule. They have their own just specific undead rule. Vampires act a little differently, so they can all march now. Always.
Okay.
Just the way different things work. Some of it's like reprints, like Arrows of the Asp. Those are the same from the Tomb Kings, but it's specific for this Undead Legion. So it's like... It's basically a new army, even though it's just a combination of the two undead armies.
So we got all the Nagash stuff, so I'm sure everyone's seen the rules for this guy online so far. Because they were in White Dwarf last week, right?
They were in the previous White Dwarf.
So all that stuff is already out. So moving on from there, we've got Manfred, one of the new kits coming out. Yeah, so he's got his mount and 10 wounds now, and fly. So he's on the zombie dragon, I guess?
No, it's like a new special monster. When Nagash came back, for his lieutenants, he made 3 of these sort of weird beast things, and he gave one to each of them. So Neferata, Manfred, and Archon all have their own sort of unique mount. One of the weird rules changes for this edition was, well, not edition, but for the supplement is... Monsters and riders have combined profiles now, so it's just one stat line instead of 2, so you can't actually target them separate and stuff. So it made them quite a bit more beefier, just because you can't pick off the mount or the rider separate.
I gotcha. Interesting. So moving forward, we got new rules for Archon as well from the Tomb Kings.
So he's gotten a little different. He finally has his own model, which is pretty sick looking.
Yeah, that looks awesome. So he's got one of these, Dread Abyssals as well.
Yeah. So each of Nagash's lieutenants is a Mortarch, or of something, depending on who it is. It's just sort of their title under Nagash.
Alright, and these guys are all coming out next week.
Yeah, I think they just went up on for pre-order today. So here's Neferata. It's cool for her to be brought back into the fold. She's an old character that used to have rules and stuff, but the new model looks way better.
Hey, pretty good. Here.
Other than that, there's new rules for existing guys as well. So we have Krell here. He gets a little bit more beef here, up in points a bit, but basically he's way cooler than he was before. Vlad, one of the stories there is he was resurrected by Nagash, and he's now one of his generals, not so much a lieutenant. And he's been beefed up as well, so different rules for him, different ways to run him, separate from the Vampire Counts book. Then we're into the Morghast, so these are the new monstrous infantry, I believe, that... Where are they?
Yeah, here we go. Yep, Monstrous Infantry.
Monstrous Infantry for the Undead Legion. So that's a new in-game unit specific for this Undead Legions that isn't in any of the other two Vampire books or Undead books.
So we've either got 2 hand weapons or halberd. Weapon skill 5, which is incredibly high for most undead unless they're vampires, which these guys are not.
No.
They've got hover, killing blow, terror, undead, and they act as a BSB, so the one fewer models removed, or 1 fewer wounds suffered from combat resolution.
Also, even their stat lines are way better. So their strength toughness 5, they have 4 wounds each, and initiative 4. So that initiative alone is huge for undead stuff. It's
and leadership 10 too. So even if your general dies, they're sticking around for a long time, and only 90 points apiece. That's really good.
Yeah, they're pretty gross.
I have to pick up some of those.
Yeah, you will.
So moving on, looks like we got a whole bunch of the other characters.
So Valton's back. When the Storm of Chaos was around, he was that character back then. He was sort of the rebirth of Sigmar. I guess they have him here labeled as Herald of Sigmar. I'm not sure how they changed his fluff yet. I haven't gotten that far, but it's cool to see him back. Crom, same with him. He was one of Archaon's lieutenants. So he's got rules again, which is pretty cool to see because it's been a while. I think when was Storm of Chaos? 2006.
Yeah, about
so
that.
What are we now? 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years, and he's finally got rules again. So that's all the new characters, just new ways to play them and stuff. And then, so narrative scenarios. This is all the different missions that lets you play the campaign. So it's fights with undead versus basically everybody.
We'll just skip through these pretty quickly, so we're going to be running most, if not all, of these as well for battle reports over the coming weeks.
Yep. So yeah, just a whole bunch of different scenarios. Each one has sort of like different rules and ways to play the game separate from the main rulebook scenario. So it's cool to see new missions like that. Let's see, more missions.
Okay, maybe not all of these. A lot of these we'll be doing.
Oh, we're playing them all, buddy.
Playing them all? Alright, Warhammer Week.
The end is the appendix, so basically it talks about each of the fights and the different armies, sort of a reference chart for people involved and stuff like that. And that's about it. Yeah, that's the book, so
alright.
I'm really excited about those.
And let's move on to the other big new piece.
Yeah, so here's what everyone's probably looking forward to.
Nagash.
Mr. Nagash himself.
So, the box, well, let's use the book for scale here. So, I mean, everyone knows this model's big. It's bigger than the book, and this is the size of an army book.
Yeah, it's a big box.
Yeah, this model is enormous. The scale, at least from what it looks like so far, is he's roughly a foot tall. So, let's pop this open here.
It's also cool they have a new style of how they box their stuff. It's
this
nice.
is it's all a cardboard box instead of the flip out kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So first off, his base is the same size as a Terrorgeist.
Yeah, so the large monster base.
Yeah, Hell Cannon, any of those guys.
Yeah.
So very big. And he's only a 2-sprue kit actually.
That's still quite a bit.
Yeah, he's definitely pretty big. So you can see his body here. So we'll use the base for reference for it. So it's gotta be what, about 4 or 5 inches almost?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and that's just him. And then you've got all the cloaks and everything swirling around him below that.
Yeah, all
those 9 books.
It's 9 books and like all the ghosts and stuff that are swirling around him. So even though he's probably from foot to head, maybe 10 inches, there's at least another good 3 inches of ghost lifting him up. So he's going to be quite tall, imposing on the table. Yeah. Really nice model though.
And he's quite, well, somewhat customizable as well. Yeah, you can build him either with one of his books and the staff in his hands, or you can build him holding his I've already forgotten the name of it. His sword, anyway, the Mortis Blade, I think it is, and summoning a Spiritos with his other hand.
Yeah, so you can see that here on the box. So here's him with his staff and book. Very nice. And then on the other side,
there we go.
It's him with his sword, and he's sort of casting a spell or something. But just tons of detail, tons of little things all over him. It's a really cool model.
Yeah. So one of the other things is, I think it was yesterday, Games Workshop posted up the painting guides for this guy.
Okay.
And this is a very detailed kit. Like, despite the fact he's huge, some of the parts, so all of the bone stuff, for example, is actually very, very tiny. I mean, this is just my fingernail for comparison. So there's extremely fine detail on this. Let's see if we can get it to focus on here, but just, where was I? The cover of the books even, you can see it's still a very detailed model.
And his hat, sweet.
Yeah.
So his hat has 2 pieces. Cast Dwarves will be proud.
So they've got about an hour of painting tutorials up for him now. And from what I've been reading is it's best to split him out into a couple pieces before you paint him, or it's basically impossible to reach a lot of the stuff.
This is your kit. Have you decided what arms you're gonna give him?
I think I'm going to go basically for what's on the cover of the box here, with the book and the staff, because despite the fact he is really powerful in close combat, I think I'm gonna have him sit behind some monsters to shield him from the cannonballs that'll invariably be going his way, and just sit at the back, summoning stuff constantly. And then, if he needs to, since he can fly, he's just gonna swoop straight over stuff and get his charges off.
Yep. So that's the new releases for this week. We'll do up a separate video with the, we'll go over the Lore of Undeath and just sort of tell you what each one does and how it goes. And over the couple weeks, probably the next month or two, we'll be doing battle reports and videos of the campaign and going over all that.
Yeah, and we'll try to get videos for the other stuff. I'm not sure, I have to step away for just a second. We'll try to get videos of the other stuff as it comes out, the lieutenants, the Morgeists.
Yep, for sure.
I'm sure between the group, we'll at least be picking up some, if not all of them.
Yeah.
So we'll get similar reviews of them when the models come out. And hopefully, if we can find the time over the next couple weeks, we'll get some showcases on the painting for them. But we'll definitely be running the narrative campaigns as well. I mean, I know I'm going to be in a mad rush to get this guy together and get some paint on him so we can start playing those.
Yeah, like I'm working on my High Elves again, so I'll be getting ready for that. I think my Chaos is sort of ready for the campaign, so I don't really need to do anything there, but definitely want to get the High Elves done up nice and pretty for our videos. Alright, excellent. So we'll be back with more as the releases come up, but keep your eyes peeled for battle reports as well as the Lore of Undeath overview coming up. Thanks.